I was always introduced the same way, no matter who we were talking to. Relatives, neighbors, doctors, teachers, strangers at church. My mother would smile, tilt her head slightly toward me and say, "This is the responsible one." She said it like a compliment, like a badge of honor I should be proud to wear. And for most of my life, I was. I learned early that responsibility meant safety, that being reliable meant being loved, or at least not criticized, and that things went smoother for everyone when I anticipated problems before they became visible. I was the kid who reminded my parents about bills, who watched my siblings without being asked, who stayed quiet when things got tense because noise made situations worse. By the time I was a teenager, responsibility wasn't something I did anymore. It was something I was. When my parents forgot appointments, I remembered. When my siblings needed money, I figured it out. When something broke, I fixed it or paid for it. No one ever asked if I wanted this role. It just settled onto my shoulders and stayed there, growing heavier every year. But because I could carry it, everyone assumed I should. I didn't notice how much of my life revolved around preventing their discomfort until the first time I tried to stop. It wasn't dramatic. There was no big argument. It started with something small, almost invisible. I didn't solve a problem fast enough. My younger brother called me one afternoon, stressed, saying his rent was late because he'd forgotten the due date again. Normally, I would transfer the money immediately and spent the next month adjusting my own budget to absorb it. But that day I hesitated. I had my own bills. I was tired. I said, "I can't right now." There was a pause on the line, long enough for me to feel my stomach tighten. And then he laughed awkwardly and said, "Okay, I'll figure it out." When I hung up, I felt a strange mix of relief and dread. Like I'd stepped out of line, but hadn't been caught yet. That feeling followed me everywhere. Over the next few weeks, I started noticing how often people leaned on me without realizing they were doing it. My parents called me for advice on things they could have handled themselves. My sister expected me to manage family logistics. Everyone assumed I would be the one to step in when something went wrong. I didn't announce that I was changing. I just stopped filling the gaps. I let calls go to voicemail when I was overwhelmed. I said no when I meant no. I delayed responding instead of immediately fixing things. At first, nothing exploded. There were small inconveniences, small frustrations, but everyone seemed to adapt, and part of me wondered if I'd imagined the importance of my role all along. That illusion didn't last. The first real failure came when my parents missed a major deadline. I had reminded them every year before, handled the paperwork, checked the dates. This time I didn't. I assumed they would manage it themselves, or at least ask if they needed help. They didn't. When the consequences hit, it was sudden and messy. And instead of turning inward to ask how it happened, they turned directly to me. "Why didn't you say something?" My mother demanded, panic and anger mixing in her voice. "You knew this was coming." I told her the truth. I hadn't been tracking it anymore. I'd assumed they were. The silence that followed was sharp and uncomfortable. My father finally said, "That's not like you." It wasn't an observation. It was an accusation. From that moment on, my refusal to manage everything was treated as a personality change, not a boundary. They said I was stressed, selfish, distant. They asked if something was wrong with me. When my siblings struggled, they blamed my absence instead of their habits. "Things were easier when you were more involved," my sister said once, not angrily, just factually, as if my labor had been a convenience she was entitled to miss. The more I stepped back, the more chaotic things became, and instead of seeing that chaos as the natural result of everyone else, having to carry their own weight for the first time, my family saw it as proof that I was abandoning them. The irony was that I was still helping, just not preemptively, not invisibly. I helped when asked respectfully. I helped when I had the capacity. But that wasn't enough, because what they missed wasn't my help, it was my constant vigilance. They missed the version of me who smoothed things over before anyone felt discomfort. The breaking point came during a family gathering that should have been ordinary. Plans were disorganized, details forgotten, responsibilities dropped. I watched the stress build in the room like static, waiting for someone to look at me, to ask me to take over. When they did, I didn't move. I said, calmly, "I'm not managing this today." The reaction was immediate and intense. My mother snapped that I was being difficult. My father accused me of making a point. My siblings looked at me with a mix of confusion and resentment, like they were seeing a stranger. "You're the responsible one," my mother said, her voice tight. "This is what you do." For the first time, I said out loud what I'd only ever thought. "No, it's what I've been doing." "That doesn't mean it's my job." The room went quiet, and in that silence, I understood something painful and clarifying. My value to them had always been conditional. I was loved, praised, and relied on as long as I performed stability for everyone else. The moment I stopped, I wasn't just inconvenient. I was threatening. Over the next months, things continued to fall apart in small, cumulative ways. Bills went unpaid, plans failed. Conflicts escalated because no one stepped in to de-escalate them. Each failure was followed by subtle comments about how things used to be better, how I used to be more involved, how I changed. No one asked how I felt. No one asked why I'd needed to step back. They just missed the function I'd served. The final realization came quietly, on a day when I watched my parents argue over something trivial that I would have resolved in minutes in the past. I felt the old urge rise in me, the reflex to step in, to smooth it over, to make it stop. And then I felt something else stronger: clarity. I saw how much of my life had been spent preventing scenes like this, and how little anyone had noticed the cost to me. I let the argument play out. It was uncomfortable. It was messy. And it wasn't my responsibility. Later, my mother told me she didn't recognize me anymore. She said I'd become cold, that I'd stopped caring about the family. I didn't argue. I didn't defend myself. I finally understood that in their eyes, caring had always meant sacrificing myself quietly. Letting them fail wasn't cruelty. It was honesty. It showed me who they were without my constant intervention, and it showed them who I was when I stopped holding everything together. I was still responsible, just no longer for everyone else's lives. And when I accepted that, something shifted. I felt lighter, not because things were easier, but because for the first time, the weight I was carrying actually belonged to me.